Six Flags Atlantis is a story that derives from a man's passion, heart, and willpower. This is a story of one man's dream and plans to create and build multiple things till one thing stuck. A man's vision of a place of fun, excitement, filled with massive water slides, wave pools, huge concerts, and beach parties, where all year round could be packed with joy, as Atlantis would be a place of refuge from the hardships of reality and the gateway to a sanctuary of endless summer. This is the story of Florida's Six Flags Park that had an eccentric rise of local popularity and a very unfortunate demise that closed the park forever. This is the history and demise of Atlantis.
Good afternoon and welcome to Six Flags Atlantis.
This story begins with a man named John L.A. Bond. Was a man whom, according to his son John A. Bond, stated that we're talking about a guy who had no money as a kid, made millions of dollars, lost a bunch of it, and got it back. John L.A. Bond was an unorthodox business tycoon that by the age of 40, he had done everything he wanted to do in life. A man that some would say was dirt rich and cash poor, with those close to him often stated that John was immensely imaginative, with no attention to detail. After an illustrious young adulthood of attending Cornell University along with graduating from New York University Law School, before heading off to the military and becoming a lieutenant junior grade in the Navy during World War II, John L.A. Bond developed numerous commercial properties in South Florida and New York. In South Florida, Broward County in the late 70s to be more precise, he developed offices, recreational centers, and shopping centers, including his development of the 65-acre water park, Atlantis the Water Kingdom, which became an Interstate 95 landmark and his most popular venture that he became most known for. Construction began underway in the late 70s in Hollywood, Florida, off the intersection of I-95 and Sterling Road. The plot of land that was selected was a unique plot of land for an unprecedented development of a water park to be located there. During this time, a permit was filed for Atlantis to be built. To go with the body of water that was already located on the property, commission a wave pool, a location of games, arcades, lockers, picnic areas, midways, an amphitheater, and an activity pool, along with a 7-story slide tower to be built to inhabit the theme park for fun and thrills. In the early 80s, Bond faced financial problems with this pretentious project that he had in development of an extravagant water park that unfortunately was only able to partially complete it due to running out of funds to do so. With his back against the wall and wanting to still see this dream completed and come into fruition, John L.A. Bond sold the unfinished private venture of a water park to Six Flags in January of 1983, notoriously tacking on Six Flags to the title and renaming Atlantis the Water Kingdom, keeping Atlantis in the name and officially renaming the park to what would be known as Six Flags Atlantis.
Your nerves and it rattles your brain. That's so much fun, it'll drive you insane. You'll take a spill, what a thrill. Goodness gracious, Six Flags Atlantis.
This summer, splash into Six Flags Atlantis with the new Raging Rampage and the Daffy Duck Romp Around. There's water rides, super slides, and oceans of fun for everyone.
So clean and blue, so really cool. Goodness gracious, Six Flags Atlantis.
In May 1983, the park finally opened to guests officially as Six Flags Atlantis, calling themselves the world's largest water theme park, with a little of everything for any member of a family could enjoy. The park had 65 acres of water slides, rides, shows, pools, water ski spectaculars, and tons of games. With all of their plunging, swirling, diving, fun in the sun rides and attractions, they guaranteed that you'd have the wettest and most fun-filled time of your lives. At the park consisted of a slide called Raging Rampage that had the slogan, "You have to ride it to believe it." There was the Daffy Duck Romp Around for kids, along with the more intense slide aimed for thrill seekers called Sidewinder. There was a puppet show Perthy P. Pelican and Alligator Alley in the Everglades Puppet Theater, just to name a few examples of rides, slides, shows, and attractions that were in operation at this park. All was well with the park for the most part. People were visiting, they were averaging roughly over 500,000 visitors per year, and guests were simply having the time of their lives with the beautiful and awesome wave pool, kids splashing area in the activity pool, teens and young adults running through the midways and rocking the arcades, while the bold park goers would venture down the 7-story slide tower. But guests that were bold enough waiting to brave the 7-story slide tower throughout the years weren't the only thing about to plummet. Although so much was going well, underlying problems and issues kept arising throughout the years that continued to hinder the success of Six Flags Atlantis. Six Flags Atlantis was located really close to a very popular Florida beach, where why would most tourists take a water park off of the interstate over a full beach beautiful beach. Another major issue with the park was its odd operation schedule, definitely for Florida. See, most water parks in Florida operate for the great majority of the year, if not some that are year-round, mainly due to the year-round relatively consistent warm weather. With Six Flags Atlantis, this was not the case. This park opened in late March and closed on the eve of New Year's Eve. Therefore, the park was closed January, February, and most of March in Florida. They would operate on a weekend-only schedule mid to late March, beginning of May up until Memorial Day, and lastly after Labor Day till mid-December. Then on the flip side, they would operate daily in April, from Memorial Day till about Labor Day weekend, then finally mid-December till usually December 30th, with them often at times opening 2 days on the week of Thanksgiving as well. This bizarre and completely unorthodox park operating schedule, along with a third reason that caused issues that were linked to them having to close for 2.5 months, is due to that location in South Florida, would face tons of thunderstorms along with the sea breeze front, which often at times would cause hazy and gloomy days along with the intensity of the quite frequent thunderstorms. Lastly, the final struggle that this park faced was that the land was worth more than just having a water park that averaged over $600,000 annually. The land was appraised at $16.5 million when the park would at most gross $8 million annually. Therefore, the park was no longer profitable to keep operating in its current space, and more so that Atlantis was no longer profitable for Six Flags. With this, Six Flags decided to close the park and aim to sell it to another interested party. According to this article from South Florida Sun Sentinel on April 25, 1988, where it was stated that Six Flags had the park up for sale since the fall of 1987 and was on the verge of being turned into apartments and offices with a company located out of Dallas that had plans and was in negotiation to buy the property, but nothing came about from it. If the deal had gone through with the company out of Dallas, Texas, then the park would have faced an earlier demise and would have closed for good on October 23, 1988, and would have been razed for offices and apartments. But instead, another party out of Puerto Rico came in at the 11th hour to save the water park from turning into a dark outcome. Six Flags officially sold the park in the summer of 1988 to new owners that kept it a water park. The park reopened to the public under new ownership, with them changing the name back to its original as Atlantis the Water Kingdom, while operating as a small park and freeing themselves from the burden of Six Flags insurance costs. But Atlantis would continue to feel freedom and success as they continued to operate for 4 more years until disaster came into town, and his name was Andrew.
And good morning. Thanks for tuning in. Andrew here. Our hurricane, which continues to strengthen. Pressure now down to 974 millibars. The Air Force plane is out there, and that's what the pressure reading that they extrapolated down to the surface has come in to be. And think about that. The 5 a.m. advisory was 994 millibars, and now we're down to 974. So that's a 20 millibar drop in quite a short period of time, and that does indicate right there, just from pressure alone, that we have a rapid intensifying cyclone.
Because it's going to be as loud as anything and as frightening as anything you've ever heard, and then it's going to be gone, and it's going to be gone in about the same time frame of about 6 hours till it's essentially over, and I expect that by mid-afternoon tomorrow we'll have sunshine. We may have sunshine by early afternoon.
Hurricane Andrew would be so devastating to the community that it became the final nail in the coffin, which permanently closed the gates forever on August 30th, 1992. The new owners strived to extend their lease on the land, but Hollywood Inc., who owned the site of land, had plans to build a brand new water park just south of Atlantis in the aftermath of the destruction that came from Hurricane Andrew. What was to become of the actual site of where Atlantis sat was to officially become an 800,000 square foot shopping center that they threw around the idea of keeping the name Atlantis as the name of the shopping center that was scheduled to open in the fall of 1993. All of the slides and attractions had to be taken down by November of 1992 to avoid being torn down and demolished forever. As mentioned, that plans to relocate and build a brand new water theme park was in the works in the 90s with the heart of Atlantis in mind, but those plans sadly fell through. But in 2010, Schlitterbahn, one of the leading water amusement corporations, decided to build a massive brand new water park in Broward County since the closing of Atlantis, instead of the county building a soccer stadium. But according to an article from the Broward Palm Beach New Times, stated that the land where they wanted to build an all-new awesome water park was owned by Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport, and being that the Federal Aviation Administration, better known as the FAA, had to oversee and ultimately approve any new leases. The city and Schlitterbahn entered into a new lease agreement in 2014 pending FAA approval, but struggles continued as they fought for the land to be transferred to the city, which in turn the city paid $12 million for the land in 2015. With this $12 million purchase, this gave the city the rights to the land that gave Schlitterbahn the green light to build the new park. Long story short, Premier Parks LLC, a rival water park company in Florida, filed filed suit against the city, being that all approvals must indeed go through the FAA, and this sale of land did not. Therefore, any continuous plans or hopes for a new and major water park to be built in the long wake of the closing of Atlantis the Water Kingdom has been tied up in court, as a new water park has yet to be constructed. Today, on the site of land where Six Flags Atlantis resided, is now home of Oakwood Plaza, a massive shopping center that holds 45 stores with almost 900,000 square feet of retail space. Atlantis the Water Kingdom, Six Flags Atlantis, then Atlantis the Water Kingdom again, is a park that the legacy isn't well known by many. This water park was home of some outstanding memories that shaped many men and women. They remember it as some of their best memories were there, or from the people who were employed there, remembering the amazing vibes, complimentary passes to the park, the Employee of the Week badges, and the employee Christmas parties. Many may remember watching Miami Vice on TV and catching one episode in particular entitled Honor Amongst Thieves that premiered March 4th, 1988, that was shot at Six Flags Atlantis. Or people may even remember the amazing beach parties and tons of famous concerts that took place there at the park, such as New Kids on the Block, In Vogue, Cheap Trick, and Lisa Lisa and the Cult Jam, just to name a few. But Atlantis will live on forever in the minds of those who got to experience the 7-story water tower, the beautiful hand-painted Italian tile park logo that was located on the back of the wave pool, the feeling of an endless summer, and now the nostalgia that overcomes them whenever they reflect on the good times that they had. But not even Poseidon could defend Atlantis the Water Kingdom from the mighty force of Andrew's hurricane and his armies of tropical storms.
While their remains were cast into the ocean to be forever swallowed by the tides.
So if you enjoyed the video, you can support the channel via Patreon, where we have all new live streams and exclusive content and giveaways that are dedicated to the patrons on the exclusive Miguel the Annual Passholder Patreon page. And also, if you like looking nice, you can support the channel via our merchandise shop at annualpasshldr.shop. You can find amazing t-shirts and hoodies, such as this one, that you guys can purchase for the low. And feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn it from red to gray, and like this video if you enjoyed yourself. I'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much, and have a thrilling day.